Okay, so let's start, shall we? So like I said, we are doing past paper questions of graphs of functions. Okay, so this is a worksheet that we're going to solve. This contains all past papers from 2016 to 2022. Okay, and that's enough. That's more than enough, actually. I wouldn't recommend that you solve. I mean, if you're done with these questions and you didn't find them challenging at all, then yes, I would suggest you do questions before that. But these questions are sufficient. Okay. So I'll solve a few questions, okay, and I will start with some recent questions so you get an idea of the kind of questions that we're getting recently, and then we'll solve a few questions from maybe 2018 or backwards, okay. I hope everyone's gotten this printed, okay, because it's very important. Don't just be a spectator, okay. सिर्फ देख के आप लोगों को इतना समझ नहीं आएगा जितना आप लोग खुद attempt करेंगे समझ आएगा, okay. When you solve these questions yourself, what happens is sometimes the shape of the curve is not up to the mark, and don't think that you making a curve is very simple, that you're given the points, all you have to do is just join them and that's it, you have a curve. No, there's a lot of trial and error, okay. Initially making a smooth curve is quite challenging, but with practice, with the passage of time, you get an idea as to how to make a good acceptable smooth curve, okay. Number one. And number two, the tangent part is very important, so make sure that you have this printed with you, okay, and you're doing this alongside me, okay. So this question is very recent. It's May-June 2022, paper 2, variant 1, okay. That's pretty easy as well, okay. So let's see what it says. It says complete the table of values for y equals to x cubed minus 4x plus 3, okay. So this is just a free mark, honestly. All you have to do is just plug in minus 3, and please do not make a sign error and find out the y value, okay. So can you guys do that? Can you guys plug in minus 3 in place of x and tell me what the corresponding y value is going to be? And since this is paper 2, I wouldn't recommend that you unnecessarily do it mentally. When calculator is allowed, take advantage of it. So let's see, sounds all right. Minus 4 into 3 plus 3. Oh, actually, it's not 6, it's minus 30. No, wait a minute. Minus 3 cubed into 4 into minus 3. Wait a minute, I think you're right. I think it's minus 12. It's not 6, it's minus 12. Okay, please make good use of brackets, alright? So when you're plugging this in your calculator, do it like this. Minus 3 cubed minus 4 into minus 3 plus 3. ठीक है, प्लीज़ इसको बिल्कुल कैजुअल ना लीजिएगा. डोंट थिंक कि वो ये तो बहुत आसान है, मेंटली कर लेते हैं. ठीक है, मेंटली करना अच्छी बात है, लेकिन जहाँ पे कैलकुलेटर अलाउड है, प्लीज़ यूज़ अ कैलकुलेटर. ओके, सो नाउ दैट वी हैव ऑल द पॉइंट्स, एंड इससे पता है दो प्रॉब्लम्स होंगी. ना सिर्फ आपका ये पॉइंट गड़बड़ आएगा, बट आपको फिर कर्व बनाने में भी प्रॉब्लम होगी. ओके, so minus 3 minus 12 is 1 point, so let's mark that. Again, before we start marking these values, let's get familiar with the scale, okay. Now what do I mean by that when I say get familiar with the scale? Let's look at the values and see कि किस तरह से x और y जो है हमारा वो distributed है, okay. So starting from x, you can see that 1 unit has been spread into how many boxes? Has been spread into 10 small boxes. So if I ask you guys, how much is one small box representing? If 1 unit has been divided into 10 small boxes, how much is one small box representing? 0.1. 0.1. That's correct. Good job. Just like that, on the vertical, on the y-axis, so you have 5, which has been split into how many boxes? 10 small boxes. So that means how many units is one small box representing? 0.5. Okay. So what that basically means is कि दो छोटे boxes अगर आप छोड़ेंगे तो एक unit बनेगा. Okay, leave 2 small boxes, you get 1, and then leave another 2 small boxes, you get 2, then leave another 2 small boxes, you get 3, another 2 small boxes, you get 4. Now, do you have to do this? You don't have to mark these values, but the calculation that I'm talking about, that you have to do. Okay, so that you know exactly कि आपने 1 कहाँ पे mark करना है, 2 कहाँ पे mark करना है, 3, 6, 0, 18, ये जो सारी values हैं आपने कहाँ पे mark करनी है. ठीक है, अगर आपको पता ही नहीं होगा कि minus 12 कहाँ है, 3 कहाँ है, 6 कहाँ है, तो फिर आप कैसे mark करेंगे? Okay, so minus 3 minus 12, that's gonna be, so here's minus 10, 2 more boxes, that's minus 11, 2 more boxes, that's minus 12. So there you go. Okay, now you don't have to make these arrows. This part you can do just by using your scale. Okay, at minus 2 it's positive 3, so minus 2 positive 3 means that it's gonna be somewhere over here. So here's 2.5, 1 box above it is going to be 3. Okay, at minus 1 it's 6, so minus 1 6, so here's 5, 2 small boxes above it we will have 6 right here. Okay. At 0, it's 3. So 3 will be one small box above 2.5. There you go. At 1, it's 0. So there you go. At 2, it's 3 again. Okay. So वापस ऊपर आ गया. Over here. At 3, it's 18. So let's see where we'll find 18. Here's 15. What will we have in between 15 and 20? That's 17.5. One small box above 17.5 will take us to 18. Okay. Now I'm going to raise these arrows. Like I said, you don't have to do this. You can just use your scale. Okay. I'm doing this ताकि alignment now to जाए. Okay. Now that we have how many points? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, we have 7 points. So before you join the curve, again, what I said earlier, just hover your pencil, okay, and pencil only, okay, not pen, over all the points so that you get an idea as to the kind of shape of the curve that you're looking that it's going to be like. Okay, so it's going to be something like this. You can draw it on the side if you want so that you get familiar with it. Okay, so this is what something we should end up with. Okay, so now let's join these points one by one. Okay, there you go. Okay, that's it. So कितने marks देंगे आप लोग out of 3? It's a pretty smooth curve. Is it worthy of 3 out of 3 or? Yeah, I think I'd give myself 3 marks. Okay. Khair. Anyway, so far we have made the curve. Okay, we've plugged in -3, found out the corresponding value. Okay, so everything's pretty smooth so far. All right. Now here's part C, which says by drawing a suitable straight line. So ये वही वाला part आ गया. Okay, where you have to draw a suitable straight line, and using your suitable straight line, you then have to find the solution to so and so. Okay. So I hope everyone remembers the steps that we follow. So कोई बता सकता है what's the first thing that we do? I'll write down the equation of the curve, which is y equals to x cube minus 4x plus 3. Okay. So can anyone help me out over here? What do I need to do? Yes. So basically the idea is that we bring the left hand side equal to the equation of the curve that we have just made. Okay. So अगर हम compare करें, so we can see that we have x cube here, we have x cube here. All right, so far so good. We have minus 4x here and we have minus 4x in the equation of the curve as well. Okay. Here we have a minus 2 and here we have plus 3. A minus 2 को अगर plus 3 बनाना है, so what do I need to do? How do I turn this minus 2 into plus 3? Do I add something? Do I subtract something? What do I do? Question for you guys. Plus 5, very good. Now if I'm adding 5 on the left hand side, that means I need to add 5 on the right hand side as well. Okay, so now we're looking at x cube minus 4x minus 2 plus 5 is equal to 3 equals to 5. Now the whole idea behind doing this was so that we can replace the left hand side with y, and now we have y equals to 5. So when the question said by drawing a suitable straight line, what is that suitable straight line that we're going to draw? It's y equals to 5. Okay, so y equals to 5. What kind of a line is y equals to 5 going to be? Please do not say straight, since all lines are straight. Horizontal. It's going to be a horizontal line. Okay, it's going to be a horizontal line which is going to cut the y-axis at 5, and clearly you can see that we have 3 solutions. Okay, and the question was nice in the sense that it dropped a major hint over here by giving you 3 blanks. Okay, so that clearly tells you that we will end up with 3 values of x. Okay, now what are those values of x going to be? Let's write them down one by one. Again, please do not be very casual about this. कि बस ऐसे ही अंदाज़ा लगा देते हैं. You have to try and be as accurate as possible, and then hope that your answer falls inside the acceptable range. Well, not exactly hope. If you have done everything correctly, then you can be confident that your answer will fall inside the acceptable range. So here's 2.1, here's 2.2. This is somewhere in between 2.1 and 2.2. So I'm going to go with 2.15. Okay. And then let's look at this value. So here we have minus 0.5 and then we have minus 0.6. This is going to be minus 0.55. All right. Here, this is going to be minus 1.5 and minus 1.6. So there you go. We now have 3 solutions. You don't really have to write them in a certain order. Okay, it's up to you whatever order you write them in. 2.15 minus 0.55 minus 0.55 and minus 1.6. Okay, so you get 3 marks, 1 mark per solution. And altogether, this question you can see is 3 plus 3 is 6, 6 plus 1 7 mark. So it's a 7 mark question. Okay, it could have been more. For example, if the question had asked you to find the gradient at some point by making a tangent, so that could have been another 2 marks. So it could have been 8, 3, 6, 7, could have been 9 marks. But yeah. Point is that graphs of function is a major paper 2 topic. So you can expect it to be anywhere in between 7 to 11 marks. Okay. Now, so take a good look at what I've done. Let me know if you have any questions. If yes, feel free to ask. If not, then nothing to worry about. We'll move on to the next question. Okay, so no questions?
Sir, is it alright to use a mechanical pencil?
Yeah, that's fine. As long as it's not too light, then go ahead, use a mechanical pencil by all means. In fact, I would personally prefer to use a mechanical pencil. It's a lot neater. Okay, but just don't use a pen. Okay, unless you're feeling like extremely confident कि जो आप कर रहे हैं बिल्कुल सही है और वो गलत हो ही नहीं सकता.
Okay, sir, but let's say if I forgot and I used the pen for the process to mark the point. Is that okay?
See, the only reason why it's not okay, it's not that the examiner is going to have a problem. Okay. पेपर में लिखा होता है यू मे यूज़ अ ग्राफ, यू मे यूज़ अ पेंसिल फॉर ग्राफ. ओके, सो इट्स नॉट लाइक एग्जामिनर को कोई मसला है, आपके लिए मसला हो सकता है. क्यों मसला हो सकता है बताओ? इफ या एग्जैक्टली व्हाट आर यू गोना डू देन? आप
Then I'll have to, I'll not have another option.
yeah, exactly, then you'll have to cross it out, and then if you make a mistake in pen and then you cross it out in pencil, तो वो पता नहीं चलेगा. That means you need pen to cross that out. I mean, you'll just end up making a mess. Okay, so don't. Long story short, don't use a pen, just use a pencil. Okay. All right. Now here's another question. This is also pretty recent. It's May June 2021. It's actually from the mini series. You guys know about the mini series?
Yes, sir.
काफ़ी फेमस हुई थी. आप लोगों ने तो नहीं दिया था ना मिनी सीरीज में कोई पेपर? पाकिस्तान स्टडीज़ और उसका तो नहीं हुआ था ना. हाँ. सो सॉरी,
2022 में दिया था.
अक्टूबर नवंबर में ना.
मई जून में सर.
बट मिनी सीरीज तो नहीं हुई थी ना आप लोगों के टाइम पे. मिनी सीरीज तो
वो तो पिछले साल
2021 में हुई थी. या एग्जैक्टली. ओके, सो and that's why you can see that the code is completely different. It's not 4024, it's not 0580, it's 3171. Okay, so this basically came in the mini series. Okay, 2021, so again fairly recent. So again you can see that the pattern is more or less the same. It will always start by asking you to fill up the table. Okay, in some cases if the question is connected with some other topic, so usually it's connected with mensuration sometimes. Okay, like you can see there's a question over here. So it will ask you to first show that the volume or perhaps the area. Let me see what it says. So it's given the volume. It's asked you to show to the equation for the area is equal to so and so. Okay, and then from that point onwards, you can see that the pattern is the same. You're given a table. You have to find out a few missing values. You have to make a curve, and then whatever it is that you do will be dependent on your curve. Could be the gradient. Could be finding some y value given the value of x, or the other way around. Okay. So here's another question. Let's do this. How many questions did sir? Okay, this is the second question now. Okay, acha, by the way, that reminds me today's class will be slightly extended. Okay, so could go up till 6:30. Okay, I don't want to solve just like 2 questions. Okay, I want to solve at least 3 to 5, 4 to 5 questions ideally. Okay, so it says complete the table for y equals to minus x cube upon 2 plus 3x plus 1. Again, use your calculator to find out the corresponding y value. Okay, so chalo, I'd like you guys to do it as well. मैं भी कर रहा हूँ, so I can make sure that you guys have done it correctly. Okay, and you guys aren't making a sign error here and there. Okay, so I have my value. Anyone else who would like to tell me what their value is? Yep, that's correct. Good job. 5.5. Okay, so next thing is get familiar with the scale. So on the x-axis it's 0.1 per small box. On the y-axis, क्या होगा y-axis पे बताएं? Given that you have 1 unit split into 5 small boxes, how many units do you think one small box is responsible for? 0.2. Good job. 0.2. Okay, Okay, now we start marking the values. So at -3 we have 5.5. So here's -3, here's 5. So 5.5, again, as always, don't be too casual. Ye nahi ki 5.5 is, so let's just round it up to 5.6. Okay, place it in between 5 and 6. Okay, so 2.5 boxes basically above 5. And then at -2 you have -1. Okay, सो ये माइनस प्लस का भी बड़ा चक्कर होता है. यू नीड टू वॉच आउट फॉर दैट एज वेल. ओके, प्लस होगी फिर एकदम से माइनस हो जाएगी. ओके, एंड हम प्लस पे ही फंसे रह जाते हैं. तो आई सीन स्टूडेंट्स डू दिस कि अगर उन्होंने एक पिछली वाली वैल्यू प्लस मार्क किया ना, तो उसके बाद वाली वैल्यू को भी वो प्लस मार्क कर देंगे. सो यू गॉट टू वॉच आउट फॉर द साइन एज वेल. सो -2 पे it's -1, so that means it's going to be over here. Okay, and then at -1.5 it's -1.8. Okay, so here's -1.5, here's -1, -1.2, -1.4, 0.6, 0.8. There you go. Okay, so at -1 we have -1.5. So here's -1, here will be -1.5. There you go. At 0 it's 1, so pretty easy to mark. At 1 it's 3.5. Okay, so here's 3, here will be 3.5. Okay, and then at 1.5 it's 3.8. So 1.5 पे 3.8. Oops, ये क्या हो गया? हाँ. So that's here. And then 2 पे it's 3. So 2 पे it is 3. So that's here. Okay. And then 3 पे it's -3.5. Okay, so like I said, watch out for that. 3 पे it's -3.5, so that's going to be over here. Okay, now I'm going to erase all these arrows. Okay, so let's look at all the points. I'll highlight them so you can see them clearly. You don't have to do that in the exam. ये मैं सिर्फ आप लोगों के लिए कर रहा हूँ, so you can see clearly where exactly are all the points. Okay, so again, let's just hover our pencil over all the points so we get an idea. Okay, let's do that one more time. There you go. So we're expecting something like this. ठीक है? Okay, so अब इसको बनाते हैं. इसके लिए ज़रा थोड़ी कंसंट्रेशन की ज़रूरत है. Alright, so far so good. Okay, not bad. So there you go. We have how many marks so far? We have scored 1 plus 3, 4. 4 easy marks, okay? 1 mark for just using your calculator, and then 3 marks for marking the points correctly and joining them. Okay, obviously when you're joining them, you have to make sure that it results in a smooth curve. Okay, so here's part C, which says by drawing a tangent, estimate the gradient at x equals to 2. So notice that it's asking you to estimate the gradient. Okay, and when do you need to estimate that? You need to estimate that when x is equals to 2. Okay, so tangent banane ki conditions, I hope everyone remembers. You have to make sure that the tangent is a line that only touches the curve. Okay, the space from the point of tangent C, okay, after the point of tangent C and before the point of tangent C should be equal. What does that mean? That means ये ना हो कि आपका tangent जो है वो 2 के बाद बहुत ज़्यादा स्टीप हो और 2 से पहले कम स्टीप हो. ठीक है, मतलब ये जो स्पेस है ये इक्वल होनी चाहिए, विच क्लियरली इट्स नॉट at the moment. That means I need to fix this. Okay, so let's do that one more time. And when you make a tangent, make sure that you extend the line as well. Why? Because जितनी लंबी आपकी लाइन होगी उतना पॉइंट्स ढूंढना आसान होंगे आपके लिए. Okay, and also another thing to keep in mind is that your tangent should represent the steepness of the curve. Okay, so the tangent should represent the steepness of the curve at that point, which it is. Yeah, now it's better. Okay, all right, so now we need 2 points through which the line is passing. Now if you're lucky, okay, but don't count on it, you will have 2 points with integer coordinates, which I do, thankfully. Okay, but again, it's just a matter of luck. So we have 1 comma 6, so this is a good point. All right, and then there's another point over here which is 3 comma 0. अब ये इसके इसके एक चीज़ सुन लें ज़रा. इसका मतलब ये हरगिज़ नहीं है कि आप ज़बरदस्ती पॉइंट्स को राउंड ऑफ करके इंटीजर बना दें, ठीक है, या आप ज़बरदस्ती टेंजेंट ऐसा बनाएं कि वो इंटीजर पॉइंट से पास करे, ठीक है. इट डज नॉट, दैट्स नॉट व्हाट इट मीन्स. इफ़ योर टेंजेंट इज़ करेक्ट, irrespective of the points that you pick, your answer will fall inside the acceptable range. Okay, so even now, though I have 2 points that are such they have integer coordinates, but even now if I pick a point which, let's say, does not have integer coordinates, okay, let's say I pick this one. In fact, you know what, to be on the safe side, I will pick this one क्योंकि ये मुझे 3 से थोड़ा आगे निकलता हुआ लग रहा है. Okay, so I'm going to be play it safe and I will pick this point, and this point has coordinates 2.5 and 1.6. Yeah, 2.5 comma 1.6. Okay, so these are the 2 points through which the tangent line is passing: 1 comma 6, 2.5 comma 1.6. So I'm just going to write them down: 2 comma 6, 2.5 comma 1.6. Okay, ये आ गए 2 points. Now let's find out the gradient. अच्छा, जल्दी से बताएं इस लाइन को देखिए, इस लाइन का ग्रेडियंट नेगेटिव आना चाहिए या पॉजिटिव? Question for you guys: should the gradient be negative? Very good, it should be negative. Okay, so keep your eyes and ears open. This is a downward sloping line, so that means the gradient should be negative. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. All right, let's see, what do we get? 1.6 minus 6 over 2.5 minus 2. So we end up with minus 8.8. Okay, now let me show you the acceptable range of this question. Okay, so this is May, June 2021. Okay, just a minute, so that you guys get an idea. Yeah, if in the meantime, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Bole.
Sir, when you have a question and when they ask you to find the gradient, so can you take the points that are given in the graph, not in the graph, I mean in the table?
The point where you've made the tangent, that point?
Yes.
No, don't take that
Why
point.
not? Because it's the same value.
I agree. It is the same values, no denying that. But the reason why I wouldn't recommend that is because what the examiner is trying to check is how accurate your tangent is. Okay? So if your tangent is accurate, irrespective of the points you take, you should get the correct answer. Okay? So that is what the examiner is trying to check. Okay, just a minute. Let me find the marking scheme. Surprisingly, I can't find the marking scheme. Just give me a minute. Let me find the marking scheme. Isn't the point 1 comma 6 you wrote 2 comma 6? Let me check. No, it's not. Dekho? It's 1 comma 6. It's not 2 comma 6. And then it's 2.5 comma 1.6. Okay. Alishba? Oh, okay. Oh, acha. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so just a minute. Made a calculation error over here. The point is actually 1 comma 6 and I wrote 2 comma 6. Yeah. Okay, thank you for pointing that out. Let me just fix that. Okay, so that changes the gradient. Now it's going to be 1.6 minus 6 over 2.5 minus 1. Okay, so 1.6 minus 6 over 2.5 minus 1. Okay, yeah. So it's minus 2.93. Okay, so the correct answer is minus 2.93. The answer is minus 3. Okay, that's fine. I'm just looking for the marking scheme so I can show you guys one thing, which is what the acceptable range is. Okay, so found it. Just give me a minute. Okay, so here's the acceptable range. It's minus 3.8 to minus 2.2. Okay, so anything that is in between minus 3.8 to minus 2.2 is acceptable. Okay, so like you said, you're getting minus 2.7. That's fine, nothing to worry about as long as it's inside this range. Okay, or even equal to, like for example, if your answer is even exactly equal to minus 3.8, that's fine. Okay, or if it's exactly equal to minus 2.2, that's also fine, nothing to worry about. Okay. Okay, now, but again, this is not something we rely on. इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि now that we know कि answer की range तो काफ़ी wide होती है, acceptable range, so अब हम casual हो जाएं हमारी working, अपनी working के बारे में. No. Okay, you still have to be as careful as possible. All right. Okay, now here's part D, which again is the same concept that we were tested on earlier. You have to draw a suitable straight line, and then with the help of that, you need to estimate the solutions of this equation. Okay, so like I said earlier, there's pretty much a standard way of solving this. So what do we need to do? Let's see. So this is the curve that we have drawn, y equals to minus x cube upon 2 plus 3x plus 1. And here what do we have? We have x cube upon 2. So notice that this is positive, this is plus 1, and this is equals to 2x. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is, you need to, when you start comparing, you'll notice that this is x cube upon 2 and this is minus x cube upon 2. So that means the first thing I need to do is, before I do anything else, is that multiply both sides by minus. Okay, so when I do that, this is what we end up with. Minus x cube upon 2 minus 1 equals to minus 2x. Okay, now we start comparing it. So we have minus x cube upon 2 over here, and we have minus x cube upon 2 over here as well. Okay, now in the actual equation of the curve, we have a plus 3x, which we don't have over here. So that means, what do we need to do? We need to add 3x on the left hand side. That means we need to add 3x on the right hand side as well. Okay, we'll simplify this later. And then over here, we have a minus 1. In the actual equation of the curve, we have a plus 1. Now here's a question for you guys. What should I add in minus 1 to bring it equal to plus 1? Plus 2. Very good. So that means I need to plus 2 on both sides. So when I do all of this, the left hand side becomes exactly what we want it to be equal to. That is the equation of the curve. So minus x cube upon 2 plus 3x plus 1. And the right hand side, minus 2x plus 3x equals to positive x plus 2. So what can I replace this with? This we can conveniently replace with y. So y equals to x plus 2. Okay. So when the question said, by drawing a suitable straight line, what is the suitable straight line that we need to draw? This is the suitable straight line that we need to draw. Okay. Now, in order to draw this line, this sadly is not a horizontal or vertical line which you can draw without any effort. Okay. For this, you need a few points. Now, as far as those points are concerned, you can do the working mentally if you want. You don't really have to formally make a table, plug in the values, and then find them out. Find out the output of the corresponding y values. You can just do it mentally, like I said. So let's see, what do we have? So we can take pretty much any value, negative, positive, and 0. Okay, so let's say we plug in minus 1, 0, and 1. So if you plug in minus 1, you get 1. If you plug in 0, you get 2. If you plug in 1, you get 3. Sorry, not 1, you get 3. Okay, इसको ज़रा एक different color से कर लेते हैं, green से कर लेते हैं. So minus 1 पे क्या था? minus 1 पे 1 था. हाँ, 0 पे 2, ठीक है, और 1 पे 3. So 1 पे 3 is over here. अच्छा, अब आप मुझे एक बात बताएं. If I join these 3 points, okay, this is the line that I end up with. Okay, but if you look at the answer spaces, we have 3 values of x. So here, I'm only getting one solution. So इसके पीछे क्या है? Yes, so you have to extend the line. Okay, so make sure that when you draw the line, the suitable straight line, you extend it. Okay, and here you're lucky. Either, for example, अगर आप line extend करना भूल भी जाते हैं, so आपको answer spaces देख के idea हो जाता है कि line extend करनी है. But that's not always going to be the case. Okay, sometimes the question will say, write down the solutions, and will just give you x equals to and then a blank. Now all the values of x that you end up with, you have to write them down on the same blank. So just make sure, make it a standard rule, make it a mental note that when you draw the suitable straight line, you have to extend it no matter what. Okay, so here are the 2 solutions that we're ending up with. Okay, let's write them down one by one. Okay, so let's start from the most positive one, which is 1.5, 1.6, 1.7. So I'm going to go with 1.65. and then 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, so 0.65. Okay, and then minus 2.1. Now, because this is extremely close to minus 2.2, I'm going to go with minus 2.2. Okay, it's not in between, it's extremely close to minus 2.2. So there we go, we have three solutions. One is negative, two of them are positive. So let's write them down. Again, does not matter the order in which you write them. Minus 2.2, 0.65, and 1.65. There you go. Now here's the acceptable range. Okay, आप लोगों को acceptable range सुन के थोड़ी तसल्ली होगी. एक acceptable range है -2.3 to -2.1. Okay, and then you have 0.4 to 0.7. तो बिल्कुल हम almost border पे थे. And then we have 1.5 to 1.8. ठीक है, तो इसमें तो we were pretty safe. So there you go. This is the final answer. Okay. Now, as always, take a good look at what I've done. Let me know if you have any questions. चलें यहाँ पे छोड़ देता हूँ. बताएं, कोई question? Alright, sounds good. चलें अब ज़रा थोड़ा मुश्किल सवाल करते हैं. अभी तक तो हम आसान सवाल कर रहे थे ना, थोड़ा मुश्किल सवाल करते हैं. ओके, सो एक ऐसा सवाल करते हैं जिसमें ज़रा मेंसुरेशन भी आ जाए थोड़ा बहुत. ये वाला सवाल करते हैं. Here it is. So this is from October November 2022. So this is as recent as it gets. Okay, paper 2 variant 2. तो आप ही का पेपर है, आप ही का वेरिएंट है. Question number 14. Okay, so it says here cuboid has height h centimeter and a square base of edge x centimeter. The volume of the cuboid is 60 centimeter cube. Show that the surface area of the cuboid is given by a equals to so and so. Okay, now, so what's the formula for finding out the volume of a cuboid? Let's write that down.
Base into height into length into width into height.
Yep, length into width into height. Okay, and what's the formula for calculating the total surface area? Twice of length into width. Yeah, length into basically area of one side. Okay, area of all the sides times 2. Okay, all the unique sides and times 2. Okay, all right. Now, if you find out the total surface area using these dimensions x, x, and h, you will notice that your answer will be in terms of x as well as in terms of h. Okay, but in the answer above that we have to bring it equal to, you can see that we have to bring it equal to in terms of x only, that we have to give the final answer in terms of x only. तो इसके पीछे क्या है? 2xh. Yep, इसके लिए what we need to do is we need to bring the height in terms of x. Okay, and how do we do that? Do we have enough information to do that?
Yes, and volume diya hai.
Yep, we have the volume. So the volume is length into width into height. Volume is 60, which is equal to x into h. So what's h equal to? 60 upon x square. So we plug in 60 upon x square in place of h. So 2x square plus 4x into 60 upon x square. थोड़ा बहुत simplify करेंगे. 4x का x square का square चला जाएगा. And now we have the total surface area, which is equal to 2x square plus 240 upon x as our final answer. Okay, so we get 2 marks for this. All right. Now this question, this part, I'd like you guys to do it. Just quickly find out the y value when x is 5. Basically the value of a when x is 5 and the value of a when x is 6. I'll do it on the side as well, so I can make sure that you guys are doing it correctly. Okay, so we have an answer. Sir, could you give a recap? Yeah, sure. Okay. So, देखो, if you find out the total surface area of this shape using the existing dimensions, such that x, and h, so this is what you'll end up with. 2x into x, basically the area of the base times 2 because you have a base and a top. The area of the side by doing x into h times 2 because you have it on the right hand side as well as the left hand side. Okay. And then 2 into x into h, which you can think of as the area as the surface that's right in front. Okay, this one. So x into h for the area that's of the area of the surface that's right in front, and then times 2 because you have the same at the back as well. Okay, so this is what you will end up with. Now 2xh and 2xh can be added and written as 4xh. Now this is in terms of x as well as h. So we need to somehow find a way where we can rewrite h in terms of x. And for that we have the volume. So we made an equation for volume, made h the subject. This is what we ended up with. And now we plug in h as 60 upon x square. And that's it. You simplify it. Okay, this is what you get. Alright, I hope that helps. 98 and 112. That is correct. 98 for 5. Let me double check for 6. 112. Okay, great. Now, find, in fact, अभी curve बनाते हैं. ठीक है. अच्छा, before we make the curve, let's see what we have. We have, okay. So on the x-axis, it's going to be 0.1 per small box. On the y-axis, 20 has been split into 5 small boxes. That means one small box is basically representing 4 units. Okay, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. Okay. Now, so let's look at the points 1 and 242. Okay. अब 242 कहाँ मार्क करें बताएं ज़रा. 1 तो ये रहा, 240 ये रहा, 242 कहाँ मार्क करेंगे भाई. 240 है, ये 244 है. तो we'll try and place it in between 240 and 244. Okay. And then you have 2 and add 2, it's 128. Okay, so that shouldn't be a problem. Here's 2, here's 120, 124, 128. No, wait a minute. Yeah. Okay, then 3 pe 98. Okay, 3 pe 98. So here's 100. 100 से एक पॉइंट नीचे आएंगे तो 96 होगा. So we'll try and place it in between 96 and 100. Okay, then 4 pe 92. So 4 pe we have 92. So 96 and 92. That's going to be over here. And then 5 pe 98. Opposite 98. Okay, interesting. So that's going to be over here. अब मैं वो arrows नहीं बना रहा, time लगता है. 6 पे 112. So 112. So 100, 104, 108, 112. Okay. 7 पे 132. So here's 7, 120, 124, 126. No, wait, 128, 132. There you go. And then 8 pe 158. Okay. Alright, let me erase these arrows. So here we have all the points. Again, let's just hover our pencil through these points, get an idea of what the curve is going to be like. Okay, now that we have an idea, let's make a sketch. Okay, that was a bad start. Okay, so there you go. We now have ourselves a nice and smooth curve. Okay. Now the next part is find the minimum possible surface area of the cuboid. Now, what do we have on the y-axis? We have the area. Okay, so it's like the question is asking you to find the minimum possible y value. Okay. Now, if you look at this curve, you can see that the minimum possible y value that we have is this. Okay, and what is this value? Let's see. Here, this is 84, 86, 84, 88, 92. So the minimum possible surface area that we have is 92. Okay. अभी हम इसकी भी acceptable range देखते हैं क्या है. अच्छा, इतने part ही देखते हैं. The cuboid has a surface area of 120 centimeters square. The height of the cuboid is greater than the length of its base. Okay. what exactly or why exactly do we have this statement. All right, we'll look into that in a minute. Find the dimensions of the cuboid. Okay, now if we have the area, okay, so how will I use the graph to find out the height and the length of the base? How will I do that, considering that I have the area? How will I use this graph and do that? That's what the question is basically. Anyone who'd like to answer that?
Sir, we'll use x for the breadth and the width, and he will include it, I guess. Only the breadth he will
No.
divide
The
into
thing
n.
is, okay, all of this we will do algebraically. Okay, this part comes later. My question is something else. My question is, how will I use the graph to find out the value of x given that we have the area? Yes, someone saying
इससे
so?
तो अगर हम 120 सेंटीमीटर क्यूब पे लाइन बना के x एक्सिस को देखें और उस x एक्सिस को प्लग इन करें.
Yep. Okay, now when you do that, when you make a line at 120, let me make a solid line so you guys can see it clearly, and let me make it in red. So you'll notice that हमारे पास we don't just get one value, we actually end up with two values. Okay, so one is 2.1, all right, but what if you were to extend this line? Then you would end up with another value, okay, and this value would be 6.5. Okay, 2.1 and 6.5. Okay, now first let me explain why we've done what we have done. So it says the cuboid has a surface area of 120. Okay, so it's like we're given the y value, which is 120, and now we need to find out the corresponding x value. So we made a horizontal line at 120, and now we're looking for the corresponding x value. So we have two corresponding x values. One is 2.1 and the other is 6.5. That means when y is 120, x is 2.1, but also 6.5. Okay, but it could also be 6.5. Okay, now what we need to see is which one is the correct answer and which one is not. Okay, we need to find out the dimensions of the cuboid. Now notice the question said that the height of the cuboid is greater than the length of the edge of its base. Okay, so let's say we go with the first value of x, which is 2.1. Okay, now remember we formed an equation for the height which was 60 upon x square. ऐसे ही था ना? Yeah, 60 upon x square. Now using this value of x, can we now find out the height? 60 upon 2.1 squared. Let's see what do we get. 60 divided by 2.1 squared. So we end up with 13.6. Okay. Now let's consider the other scenario. Okay, although we don't need to, but just so that you guys understand the points that I'm trying to explain, let's do that. So let's say we consider x as 6.5. In that case, if we find out the height, which is going to be 60 over 6.5 squared, so 60 divided by 6.5 squared means that the height is 1.42. Okay, so which scenario makes more sense after reading the statement that I've highlighted, where the base length of the base is 2.1 and height is 13.6, or where the length of the base is 6.5 and height is 1.42? Which one makes more sense?
2.1 13.6.
That is correct. And why is that?
क्योंकि आपकी height is more than the edge of the base.
Yeah, because the question categorically said the height of the cuboid is greater than the length of the edge of the base. Okay, so that is why we're going with this one. Okay, I hope everyone understands what I've done over here. Now, let's write down the dimensions. So we know that the dimensions are basically x by h. Okay, so that means one value would be 2.1, the other value would also be 2.1, and height on the other hand is going to be 13.6. Okay, now as always, take a good look at what I've done. Let me know if you have any questions. In the meantime, what I'll do is I'll open up the marking scheme so I can show you guys what the acceptable range is. Okay, so we're quite lucky. The first part, where we had to find out the minimum possible surface area, is from 90 to 92. Let me show you. 90 to 92. Okay, so we're safe. And this is 2.1 to 2.3, and 2.1 is also included. So what did we get? Okay, we got 2.1 as well. So again, we're safe. All right, but notice how we're right on the edge. So and even if you look at the range, it's not that wide. It's not that 2.1 to 2.9, though we can be casual. We can't afford to be casual anyway. So what I'm trying to say is that yes, you do have a range of acceptable answers, but don't count on it entirely. Okay. Sir, can you please explain how you got 60? Okay. So Moise, if you go back, notice how we were given the volume as 60. So we made an equation that length into width into height equals to 60. And if you make h the subject, you get 60 upon x square. Okay. So this is what we got in the very beginning. Okay. It's not something we worked out only for party. It's something that we got at the very beginning. Okay. All right. So let's do another question. So let me pick another question for you guys. चलिए ये वाला सॉल्व करते हैं. इसमें एक कॉन्सेप्ट है विच वी हैवंट डन सो फार, तो वो भी कवर हो जाएगा हमारा. So this is from October-November 2020, paper 2, variant 2. Okay, let's see what it says. It says complete the table. Y equals to x upon 4 plus 2 upon x. The values of y are given correct to 2 decimal places. Okay, so can you guys quickly tell me what y is going to be when x is 7? $2.04, yeah, that's correct. Good job. So 2.04 it is. Okay, great. Then it says on the grid, draw the graph of y equals to. All right, so very predictable. So let's get familiar with the scale. It's the same on the x and y axis, and it's 0.1 units per small box. Okay, so nothing to worry about, something we've been dealing with very frequently. Okay, so let's see what it says. 0.5 and 4.13. Okay, so how will I mark 4.13? Let's see.
Sir, can you tell which this paper is from?
This is from October-November 2020, paper 2, variant 2. Okay, this is question number 10 of the worksheet, but it won't be question number 10 of this paper. It'll be some other question. Okay, but there's only one. Yeah. It's question number 10 of that worksheet.
Can you do it on that worksheet then?
This is that worksheet. I mean, yeah, you can do it on that worksheet. आप मेरे लिए पूछ रहे हैं अपने लिए पूछ रहे हैं?
मुझे नहीं पता था कि आप उसी वर्कशीट को फॉलो कर रहे हैं. मैं अपना लाइक वो टॉपिकल बुक की तरह थी, मैं 21 सेकंड.
Nope, it's
doing that, but then it's just the worksheet. Other than that, late class Wednesday.
Oh, okay. All right, that's fine. But yeah, this is the work. Basically, this worksheet has recent questions and it also has questions from variants. Okay. Topical past papers में normally variants से questions नहीं होते, so that's why. So here's 0.5 and 4.13. So here's 4. This is 4.1. Now 4.13 में हमें थोड़ा compromise करना पड़ेगा. We'll have to go with 4.1. Okay. Had it been 4.15, so we would have marked it in between 4.1 and 4.2. But 4.13 का अब हम क्या कर सकते हैं? And then you have 1 and 2.25. So here's 1, here's 2, 2.1, 2.2, 2.3. So in between 2.2 and 2.3, we'll find 2.25. And then at 1.5, it's 1.71. So here's 1.5, here's 1.5, here's 1.6, here's 1.7. So there you go. And then at, okay, ये कहाँ चला गया? हाँ. And then at 2, it's 1.5. So that's pretty easy to mark, thankfully. And then at 3, it's 1.42. So 1.1, 2, 3, 4. So here's 1.42. And then at 4, it's 1.5 again. So there you go. And then at 5, it's 1.65. So there you go. And then at 6, it's 1.83. So here's 1.5, 1.6, 7, 8. इसको 1.8 पे लॉक करना पड़ेगा. And then 7 पे you have 2.04, which we'll have to go with 2.0, or maybe we can mark it slightly above 2.0. Okay, since it's very close to 2.05. Okay. Alright, so now we make a smooth curve by joining all these points. Again, let's just hover a pencil over these points so we get something like this. So we should get something like this. Okay. Okay, there you go. So that's it. Curve ban gaya. How many marks? 3 marks. Then it says, by drawing a tangent, estimate the gradient of y equals to x upon 4 plus 2 upon x. Okay, when x equals to 1. So we have to make a tangent at x equals to 1. Alright, let's do that. So remember the properties of tangent should represent the steepness of the curve. Okay, the distance before and after should be equal. Okay, before and after the point of tangency should be equal. So this is something that we end up with. And again, if you're lucky, which I think we almost are, we will have 2 points with integer coordinates. Okay, so we have this point here, which is 0, 4. Okay, and then we have another point, although not integer coordinates, but at least pretty easy to read, 2, 0.5. So now we find the gradient using these 2 points, 0, 4 and 2, 0.5. So let me make sure I haven't made an error this time. 0, 4, 2, 0.5. Take it. So 0.5 minus 4 over 2 minus 0. Let's see. 0.5 minus 4 over 2. So we have minus 1.75. Okay. So there you go. Minus 1.75 is the gradient of the curve at the point where x equals to 1. Okay. Now, here comes part D, which says on the grid, draw the graph of 2y plus x equals to 6. Now, before I can make a straight line, what do I need to do? What do you think is advisable? Not absolutely necessary, I agree. But what's advisable over here before I make this line? Anyone? What will make it easy for us to plug in the points and find?
Y the subject.
Yep, make y the subject. So 2y equals to minus x plus 6. And then if you make y the subject, you have minus x plus 6 upon 2. And then it's best that you write it separately. Minus x upon 2 and 6 upon 2 is 3. So you don't have to plug in 3 values. Remember, we plug in 3 values to sort of make sure that we don't end up, if we end up making an error in one of the 3, so we'll be able to find that. But 2 values काफ़ी होती हैं एक line बनाने के लिए. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I'll just plug in 0 and 2. If you plug in 0, you get 3. Let's see if we have room for that. Yeah, 0, 3. So I'll do this with a different color. That's over here. And then if I plug in 2, so minus 2 upon 2 is minus 1. And minus 1 plus 3 is 2. So 2 per 2. There you go. Okay. Can we make x? No, not recommended that you make x the subject. क्योंकि straight line equation की जो general form होती है y equals to mx plus c. So there you go. This is the line that we end up with. Okay. And then it says, write down the x coordinates of the point of intersections of the graph 2y plus x equals to 6 and y equals to x upon 4 plus 2 upon whatever, jo bhi. So let's write down the points. So here is 1 point. This is 3.12, in between 3.2 and 3.3, so 3.25 it is. And then here is another. This is thankfully not in between anything, but this is just 1 point before 1, so it's going to be 0.9. So 0.9 and 3.25 are your final answers. 0.9, 3.25. There you go. Okay, so if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm going to do part 3 now. Part 3 says, these x and y coordinates, these x coordinates are the solutions of the equation 3x squared plus ax plus b. Okay. Use 2y plus x equals to 6 and y equals to x upon 4 plus 2 upon x to find the value of a and the value of b. Okay. Now, we haven't done a question like this before. Okay. This is the first time we're doing it. But still, I'd like to ask you guys, by reading the question, what do you think we're going to do? Okay, take a minute. When you have the answer, let me know.
Maybe we can make while subjects in both of them, and then do one equation is equal to the other equation.
Yes, yes. Okay. So understand the theory behind it, the logic behind it. That's what we're going to do. Okay. But what's the reason behind it? So technically, the x coordinates that we have found are the points of intersection. Okay. So that means what would be the algebraic way of finding the point of intersection? That would be by solving them simultaneously. Okay. And how can you solve these two equations simultaneously? By substitution, by making y the subject of both the equations, okay, and then equating them to one another. And that is what will give you this. Okay, what exactly is this equation representing? This equation is representing these x coordinates are the solutions of the equation. That means this equation that you will get by basically solving the two equations simultaneously. And notice that this equation is in terms of x. That means you have to make y the subject and then equate both the equations. Okay, point of intersection पे दोनों equations बराबर होती हैं, इसलिए point of intersection निकालने के लिए हम दोनों equations को equal करके फिर solve करते हैं. ठीक है, अब ये जो equation है ये basically x coordinates of the point of intersection देगी हमें. ठीक है, और ये equation आई कैसे होगी? ये equation ऐसे आई होगी by equating this and this. Okay, so write that down so that you guys don't forget that this equation has come as a result of equating the equation of the line and the curve. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to equate both the equations. We're going to try and bring it in this form, and then whatever the coefficient of x is will be the value of a, whatever the constant is will be the value of b. Okay, so let's do that. Now thankfully we already made y the subject previously, so we don't have a lot of hard work to do. Minus x plus 6 upon 2 equals to x upon 4 plus 2 upon x. Okay, so on the right hand side we should take out the LCM, so that's going to be 4x, so we need to multiply 4 with x, so this x also gets multiplied by x, so we have x square, and then this with 4 plus 8 equals to minus x plus 6 upon 2. Now take my advice, and before you cross multiply, simplify. Okay, that'll make life easy. How can you simplify? You can simplify this 2 and this 4x. 2 ones are 2 and 2x are 4x, or you can say that I'm simply simplifying 2 and 4. X remains as it is. If you don't do this, do you get it wrong? No, you don't. Okay, you will have to simplify at the end. Okay, so this, it's not absolutely necessary that you do. It's good that you do. Will save you some time. Okay, and now when we cross multiply, we're multiplying 2x with minus x plus 6 and x square plus 8 with 1, which means it remains as it is. So minus 2x cubed plus 12x equals to minus 2x square, not x. No, wait a minute. Minus 2x square plus 12x equals to x square plus 8. Now we shift everything over to the right hand side, so we have square as positive. So we have 3x square minus 12x plus 8, 0 equals 2. Now if I ask you guys to compare this equation, which is 3x square minus 12x plus 8 with 3x square plus ax plus b, okay, both of them being equal to 0, equal to 0, equal to 0. Can you tell me the value of a and b? What do you think a is equal to and what do you think b is equal to? It's pretty straightforward now. Minus 12 and 8. Yeah, that's correct. Minus 12. A is minus 12. Good job. And b equals to 8. Okay. So there you go. Take a good look at it. And let me know if you have any questions. And this is all there is in graphs of functions. Okay. Majority of the questions will revolve around these concepts. What concepts? Where you're given the table, you have to find out the missing value. Okay. Where you have to make a tangent and find the gradient. Where you have to find the minimum or the maximum value. Okay. In some cases, the question will ask you to give the range of x where y is negative. Okay. I think there's a question. That question is there in this worksheet. Okay. And then the question will ask you to draw a suitable straight line to solve so and so. Okay. And then you have something like this, where you're given an equation which is representing the x coordinates, okay? And you have to equate both the equations, the line and the curve, and then compare the two equations and find out the missing values, okay? Now, let me know if you have any questions. So it says here, using a scale of 2 centimeter to 1 unit on the x-axis, draw for -3 to 2, okay? So x and y axis have already been drawn. So 2 centimeter basically means that we leave two boxes. So here's 1, here's 2, and then -1, -2, -3. And 1 centimeter to 1 unit for y. So 1, 2, 3, 4, -1, -2, -3, and -4. ठीक है? अच्छा. So -3, 3. Let's mark the point. So here we don't have to find anything on our own. Everything's been done. Okay. -2, -1. So that's going to be over here. And then -1, -3. So that's going to be over here. Okay. And then 0, -3. So that's going to be over here. 1, -1. So that's going to be over here. And 2, 3 is going to be over here. Okay. Now, chalo, I'm glad we're solving this question. So straight away, there's one important concept in this question. Okay. Now, I'm making a sketch of this and I want you guys to tell me if it's correct. ऐसे ही होगा? Or is there something wrong?
So आपने initial curve नहीं किया.
Exactly. Okay. So be careful. Even though we don't see the values going below -3, they will still go below -3. Why? Because remember, what are we drawing over here? We're drawing a quadratic curve. Okay. We all know what a quadratic curve looks like, right? It looks either like this or it looks something like this. Okay. So even though we don't have actual values to prove that this curve will go below -3, but we know that it's not going to flatline at -3. It will definitely go below -3 before it comes back up. Okay. Now then it says, use your graph to estimate the solutions of the equation x cubed plus x minus 3 equals to 0. So notice that it's the same equation. Okay. So you don't have to add or subtract anything. You just need to see when this is equal to 0. So technically you just need to see where is this curve cutting the y-axis. So x-axis, sorry, not y-axis. So one value is 1.1, 2, 3, 4, in between 1.3 and 1.4. So 1.35. The other value is right here, which is -2.1, -2.2, -2.3. So here we have -2.3. Okay. Now we have part 2, which says use your graph to estimate. Now here the question hasn't said by drawing a suitable straight line, but we know that's what we have to do. Okay. So we have the equation of the curve right in front of us. If in fact we don't, let's write it down. X squared plus x minus 3 equals to 0. So we have x squared here, we have x squared here. Okay, so far so good. We have x here, we have x here as well. But in the equation, we have -3, which we don't have over here. So how will I bring this -5 equal to -3? What do I need to do? Do I need to add something? If yes, what do I need to add?
+2.
+2. So I need to add 2 on both sides. So now we have x squared plus x minus 3 equals to 2, which means that y equals to 2. So if y equals to 2, that means that's the line that we need to draw to find the solutions. So here's the line y equals to 2. Okay, let's find out the solution. So one is 1.8 and the other is -2.8. So 1.8 minus 2.8. Let's write that down. There you go. Okay. Then it says by drawing a tangent, estimate the gradient of the curve at 1, -1. So x is 1. That's where we have to draw the tangent. So let's do that. Again, remember the properties of the tangent. Okay. So there you go. Now you guys may be thinking that with a tangent we say that it should only touch the curve at one point. So in the case of a quadratic curve, this will happen sometimes that when you make a tangent, you will notice that the tangent is not only touching the curve at the value where we're supposed to draw the tangent, but it's it's just touching after that and before that as well. So it's fine. There's nothing we can do about it. Okay, because the steepness of the curve is extremely similar to the steepness of the tangent. This is inevitable. Okay, but again, we still try and make sure that the tangent doesn't cut the curve, okay? Doesn't cut through the curve. If it brushes along, that's fine. It's nothing to worry about. Okay, so now we have to pick 2 points from this tangent. So here's a point. It's 0 comma minus 3.8. Okay, it's not minus 4, so be careful. And then here's a good point, 2 comma 1.246. 2 comma 1.6. Okay, so let's write them down. 0 and minus 3.8. And what's the other point? 2 comma 1.6. Okay, so what kind of, this line will have a positive gradient or a negative gradient?
Positive.
Positive, that's correct. Okay, so let's find out the gradient. 1.6 minus 3.8 divide by 2. 1.6 minus 3.8 divided by 2. So 2.7 is the gradient of this line. Okay, so far it's the same type of questions that we've been dealing with. And part D is also very similar to the question that we just solved. Okay, it says the equation x square minus x minus 1 equals to 0 can be solved by drawing a straight line on the graph, so and so. Okay, so we have to find the equation of this straight line. So here we don't have to draw the straight line. Here we have to find out the equation, the straight line that you have to draw in order to solve this equation, which means we need to do the exact same thing. We need to rewrite this x square minus x minus 1 equals to 0 and the equation of the curve, so that we can compare and see what it is that we need to do before we can replace the left hand side with y. Okay, so we start with x square. We have x squared here and here, nothing to worry about. We have minus x here, but we have plus x over here. Okay, so what do I need to do to this minus x to bring it equal to this plus x? What do I need to add? Question for you guys. What do I need to add to bring it equal to
Plus 2x.
plus 2x? So I need to do that on both sides. Okay, and then we have minus 1 over here and minus 3 in the actual equation. That means I need to subtract 2 because we already have minus 1. So minus 1 minus 2 is minus 3. So the left hand side becomes equal to x square plus x minus 3, which is equal to the equation of the curve. The right hand side we have 2x minus 2. So that's why the left hand side gets replaced by y equals to 2x minus 2. And there you go. Y equals to 2x minus 2 is the equation of this line. Okay, so here we didn't have to draw the straight line. We just had to find the equation of the straight line that we need to draw in order to solve this. Okay, and that's what we've done. Then it says draw the straight line and hence solve. Okay, so now it's pretty straightforward. Now this is the line that we're going to draw, y equals to 2x minus 2. So plug in 2 points. If you plug in 0, you get minus 2. Okay, if you plug in 0, you get minus 2. If you plug in 1, you get 0. So 0 minus 2 is going to be over here. I'll switch to a different color. Let's use purple. And at 1, it is 0. So that's it. You don't even have to find the point of intersection. Yeah, nothing. You just need to draw the straight line. So y equals to 2x minus 2 is the line that we've drawn here. And that's it. Okay. So is it clear now?
Yes, thank you.
Alright, sounds good. Jane, so we've done how many questions now? I think we've done 5 or 6 questions. Anyway, I lost track. But yeah. So one less question for you guys to solve now. Alright, now solve the other questions that I've highlighted. So I'll stop here. I'll share this worksheet with you guys. So take care everyone. Allah Hafiz.